Hello everyone, my name is Floyd Richmond from Tarleton State University. I am the music area coordinator there and also the coordinator of the music business program. Today, our topic will be artificial intelligence and music composition. You can find the presentation at the address on the screen. Let's begin with the definition of artificial intelligence. At the lowest level, artificial intelligence includes systems that enhance human intelligence. Even though they may not be very smart themselves, they can help us. There are also artificial intelligence systems that control aspects of our environment. They determine whether our clothes are dry, whether our food is cooked perfectly, or whether our lawns need water. But the artificial intelligence systems that are most exciting are those which reach a point where instead of being programmed algorithmically for specific tasks, they are fed data and left to develop their own knowledge base. These systems are given memory and rules for logic and learning, and they process, parse, and organize the information themselves. This type of artificial intelligence has captured the imagination of science fiction writers. They often warn us of the dangers in movies such as Terminator, I, Robot, or 2001: Space Odyssey. Today, we use artificial intelligence in untold areas to analyze maps, give us driving directions, perform facial recognition, make friend suggestions on social media, and if you use those apps, make suggestions about who we should date. There are a number of personal assistants that incorporate some measure of artificial intelligence, especially in speech recognition and searching for data. We are familiar with Siri, Alexa, and Hey Google. If you're looking for artificial intelligence systems for general purposes, you may want to consider one of those listed on this page. Google developed a widely used artificial intelligence system called TensorFlow, which is now open source. Apple incorporates artificial intelligence deeply into all of its products, but developers may access Apple's neural engine to incorporate artificial intelligence in their own applications. Microsoft and Amazon host platforms which use cloud-based systems by Apache, Google, and others. IBM developed Watson, which beat an international chess grandmaster and later won a Jeopardy match. Early pioneers in the world of algorithmic music composition include some familiar names, Mozart and Haydn, for example. Here is a series of musical building blocks written by Mozart with the intention of being assembled in random order to generate many thousands of possible compositions. Here are similar materials composed by Haydn. These building blocks can be illustrated in music notation software as shown in several projects which I have created and listed here. In the first, you can compose a minuet in the style of Mozart. I composed 6 musical building blocks for each measure of the song. You can take a single die and roll it and randomly select the melody for each measure. Here I have rolled 1, 3, 1, and 4 and have copied each of those building blocks to the top staff. Let's listen. Similar activities that I have created include a blues song, a doo-wop song, a rag, a march, a sonata, and a fugue. A number of commercially available programs incorporate this idea of musical building blocks. The most famous, GarageBand, has a collection of literally thousands of loops that can be combined to create literally millions and millions of songs. Sibelius has a collection of musical ideas that can also be assembled as building blocks. 2 other programs deserve mention. Fruity Loops and Acid were early efforts. All of these programs require compositions to be created before you press play. You can, however, compose in real time using programs such as Ableton Live, Live Instruments for GarageBand for iOS, and Launchpad. 2 well-known commercial programs that use algorithmic routines to generate music in many styles include Band in a Box and iReal. About history, in the time we have, we're not going to be able to delve deeply, but I would like to mention the Iliac Suite. It was written on the Iliac computer at the University of Illinois in the 1950s by LeJour and Hiller. This piece initially chooses notes randomly, and gradually the rules for better melodies, such as more steps than leaps, and better harmonies, such as the intentional use of consonants and dissonance, are applied. The piece progresses from a random composition to a fairly high musical level by the end. For more information on the history of algorithmic composition and artificial intelligence, I refer you to the master's thesis of Joe DeVita and the article that is found here. I was Joe's advisor for his thesis on artificial intelligence and algorithmic composition. In his thesis, Joe found that when people were asked to identify whether the composer of a musical piece was a human or a computer, they could do so, but only 48% of the time. This means 52% of the time they could not tell the difference. Interestingly, Joe's test subjects were better at identifying human composers, which they could do 57% of the time, than computer composers, which they could only identify correctly 40% of the time. One possible explanation is that the computers were surpassing the expectations of the listeners. Artificial intelligence has many applications in music. This Harmonia website has a phenomenal demonstration of artificial intelligence in the analysis of music. Notice that as notes change, voicing errors are marked. You can see parallel octaves and fifths, fifths by contrary motion, and other errors. On the right, you'll see a minor 4-6-5 chord. If you change one note, it becomes a German augmented sixth chord. If you change it again, it becomes a French augmented sixth chord. If you change it yet again, it becomes an Italian augmented sixth chord. Rachel Mann will be giving more information on this particular topic in the presentation that follows. I think everyone is acquainted with the predecessors to the Harmonia site, which include musictheory.net and teoria.com. Both of these websites use a program knowledge base to deliver great practice on music fundamentals. We should also look at some ethical issues in this field. I'm going to pose 3 questions and then amplify those points. Question number 1. Does the computer have the right to copyright its creative compositions? Question number 2. Does the artificial intelligence process plagiarize human models or content? And question number 3. Are those humans who edit or correct a composition generated by artificial intelligence composers? About copyright. U.S. law states that copyright is granted for materials created by people. Computers will have to wait until the law catches up. Other countries have different views. France, for example, recognizes the IVA computer as a composer and permits the copyright of its materials. The IVA company has also considered some of these issues and does a plagiarism check of its compositions to make sure that they are original. IVA is an example of one of the latter types of artificial intelligence we described. It received input in the form of 30,000 pieces of music in various styles. It developed its own rules for composing based on its exposure to that music. If you're interested in getting started with artificial intelligence and composing, you may want to look at this Google Doodle, which Google created to harmonize melodies in the style of Bach. This doodle was developed using TensorFlow and was trained using only 306 Bach compositions. The computer is able to learn based on the input of humans who listen to its music and give it feedback. Hopefully, those listeners are training the system well. I have entered a brief melody into this Google Doodle. Let's see what the computer does with it. It creates an alto harmony, a tenor harmony, and a bass harmony. I am going to go with the middle rating on this one for the unusual resolution of this chord and the unusual spelling of this chord. Let's hit the button again and tell the computer we would like another harmonization of the same melody. Now, I am much more happy with this one. Here we have a very interesting G-sharp fully diminished 7th chord. It resolves properly to an A minor chord, and the voice leading is exactly what it should be. So I am happy with this. Everything in this brief piece is nicely done. So there you go. The Bach Google Doodle, using only 306 compositions as the basis of its training, is able to create some very nice musical materials. So we have mentioned Ava, and at this point I'd like to tell you a little bit more about it. The links here will give you lots of useful information, and I would encourage you to explore them. You can sign up for a free account with Ava and get started composing today if you wish. With a free account, you can create up to 3 songs for your personal use. Paying subscribers to the system own the music that it creates for them. Let's listen to some music composed by Ava and orchestrated and performed by humans. This music is largely composed in a cinematic manner. Iva is able to compose in a number of styles. So there you have it. Artificial intelligence and algorithmic composition are reaching such high levels that humans can barely tell the difference between music composed with these systems and those written by humans. While artificial intelligence will continue to improve, it should be noted that human creativity, especially in the development of new styles, is still the gold standard. I invite you to drop by and study the frames for the posters in more detail. If you have questions, please let me know. You may contact me at crichmond@tarleton.edu. On screen, you should also see the link to the poster session. Feel free to share it with others. Thank you very much.